Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a thriller from France, French language English subs, released in the year 2015, directed by Nicolas Baccarouf, and this film is called Made in France. So Made in France is about this student of Islam. He's a reporter, and he's infiltrated a secretive society in this mosque that are radicalized. So this man from Pakistan who's been trained in a terror camp comes to lead this little sector, and he is actually telling them that there is an attack that's going to happen that's very imminent in Paris. So this reporter is freaked out. He doesn't want to do this anymore. So he decides to report what he knows to the police in order to, in the hope that it's enough evidence to stop them all. But the police say, no, it's not enough evidence. And so he has to keep going because he's the only way that they can stop this terrorist attack from happening. So he has to get more information from them. So he says, no, I don't want to do that. But there was something that this reporter actually did with this group that implicates him in a crime. So if he stops his involvement with this group, he's going to be arrested. But if he can actually stop this cell from carrying out this attack, the charges aren't going to be laid. So he's got no choice but to go along with it. And so this spirals rapidly downhill. And if he's to not only save his own life, but the life of his own country, he's going to have to try and get the trust of these people and stop it before it's too late. So whether or not he can is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now, my thoughts on Made in France. I thought this was a very brave move to make a movie with this theme. Now, when it comes to Islam and terrorism, it's something that has divided the world. It's something that happens in real-world society. It's something that terrifies a lot of people. And a lot of people get criticised for even talking about this. And who knows, maybe my review will actually be criticised by YouTube, is because a lot of people just freak out by this. So I thought to myself, France making a film that is very controversial, it's not the first time this has happened. And I was hoping that it was going to be an experience that I would never forget. I was hoping that this is going to be like Arlington Road. Arlington Road, I don't think I've even reviewed that film yet. It's one of my favourite movies. I consider it a masterpiece. That was an absolutely terrifying experience about terrorism and about the reasons for terrorism and about, the fact that, these things can be stopped. The system, how unfair the system is to some people, and how that can create violence in itself. And so that was a movie that made you think a lot. And on top of that, it was very entertaining. The way that movie unfolded was absolutely brilliant. And I just thought it was an unforgettable experience. And so that's the experience I really wanted from Made in France. I knew that this is a controversial topic. I knew it was a ballsy topic, but I was hoping that the way the movie unfolded would pay compliment to the ballsiness, and that it would get people to talk. It would basically bridge the gap. It would make the gap lessen to a point where people were talking about it. But unfortunately, at the end of Made in France, I just didn't get any of that, because I thought to myself, this has the facade of a very controversial topic, but basically what it is a standard undercover film, in that a guy infiltrates this community. Is he going to get caught? People are not trusting him. Oh no, his cover's going to be blown at any minute. He's going to be killed. We have seen that done so many times. And so the movie goes down just a very generic formula. The way it tells its story, the mode of storytelling, and the fact that you've seen it time and time again with police undercover films, infiltrating. Recently there was one involving Daniel Radcliffe called, I can't remember what it was called, Imperial, where he goes into a neo-Nazi community. When you're seeing films like that, this is the way that Made in France pans out. So I thought there was so much potential in this film that wasn't realised, which is something I'll go into a little bit later, but I will say that there are positives. I thought it was very well shot. I thought the fact that it goes for 82 minutes and it prevents it from being boring, and the action set pieces were very well choreographed, and there's got a fairly good score that helps create the intensity, and the fact that these things have happened in real life provides that terror. It amplifies the terror to a point where I thought to myself, okay, I'm watching a genuine thriller. I thought the acting was okay, considering the fact that the script didn't really allow these actors to portray anything in depth, and I thought there were a few monologues that make you think to some extent, but unfortunately the monologues are not complemented by any depth, and so I felt as though the monologues were very forced. They were actually trying to get the viewer to think about it, but because it doesn't have the depth there, you don't really think about it as much as you want to. So it's nowhere near as ballsy as it wants to be. I thought that it was more concerned about the action sequences as opposed to actually delving out these characters that were very interesting. There were hints that these characters were regretting what they were doing, that they were vulnerable individuals, that the system was treating them badly. So is it a case of holy war, or is it a case of them just being able to vent their frustration out on the system, vent it out on the government? And so on one point you think to yourself, all right, well, the idea is basically doing it is a lot scarier than the idea itself, and so that was just clouding the film, and it was waiting to be discussed, but it was never discussed. And so what it is just a very, very generic film that is disguised as a movie that's really going to create a lot of controversy, going to create a lot of thought-provoking material. And so that was the biggest problem, is that yes, it'll sell, this movie will sell because it is called Made in France. It's got a AK-47 in replace of the Eiffel Tower, and so you know what you're getting yourself in for. But the experience doesn't really complement the overall expectations, and that was the biggest problem. I thought the ending was very generic. I knew how it was going to pan out. I knew what was going to happen. Therefore, it just defeats the purpose of the film. I just thought it was an opportunity to be another Arlington Road, but it just doesn't provide that. As I said, the action is very good. There's the set pieces are very well done, but I just thought to myself, for a topic such as this, it needed a lot more respect than it actually gave. And I thought that, yes, it does have a ballsy idea, but it doesn't have the balls to really delve into that idea to a sufficient level to make this movie worth recommending. So overall, I was really disappointed by this. It's not a terrible film, but if this was a straight out undercover film, basically on a drug lab or something like that, it would have been a lot better. But the fact that it has so much potential there to actually do something with it, and it doesn't really do that, I just thought, okay, it's a lost opportunity, therefore a very disappointing experience. Overall, I'm only going to give this film 2.5 stars. Recommend it if you like this type of thing, but don't get your hopes up for anything that is of typical French brilliance. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.